Hello, it's your friend Phil, Project Management Trainer and Coach. Welcome to 40 Days to PMP and CAPM Exam Success. Today, we're talking about a process from time management. It's our second process, and it's called Define Activities. Define Activities is all about taking the work breakdown structure that we had discussed previously, taking that, going down to the lowest level of the WBS, and breaking it down even further into smaller components known as tasks or activities. Now, typically, when people develop a schedule, such as the one in front of me, lots of teams start off by typing in these activities into the software. But a very important step is often negated, and that step is creating the work breakdown structure. And after creating the work breakdown structure, then break the work package down further into these activities. When you hear the term activity, it is synonymous with the word task. So task, activity. And that's pretty much it. That's define activities. It's breaking down the work package into these lower level components of work called activities. Now, in the world of scheduling, people often refer to either a task or a parent task. They could also refer to a task or subtask. So, for example, general conditions, I could call that a parent task. I could refer to these as subtasks. I could also casually refer to these as tasks and these as subtasks. Subtasks are under the task level. If you hear parent task, just know that it will have something rolling up to it. As you can see, these roll up. And when I open them up, you can see what's under. Okay? And that's pretty much what the PMBOK guide addresses in Define Activities. Take your WBS, break it down. Of course, it's broken down into the different components down to the work package level. Take the work package, break it down into these tasks or activities. Okay? Let's take a look at a few definitions that accompany this process. So, if I was going to chart this out, a few of the things that I would definitely put in my mind map will be a few definitions such as activity list. An activity list is a list of activities such as the one I showed you. It doesn't have to be in order. I would also observe the word activity attribute. An activity attribute is a further description of the activity. It further defines and describes the activity. So we're talking about activity code, for example, the activity description, the location that the activity will be taking place, the predecessor of the activity, the successor of the activity, any resources assigned to the activity, and so on. Okay? And last but not least, I would like you to think about the milestone list. Okay? These three are very important for you to know for your exam. Know these inside out, know what they are, get familiar and comfortable with them. Okay? So let me give you one more visual here. A visual of how it all works. Remember I said it starts from Create WBS, even though in between Create WBS and Define Activities, you've got Plan Schedule Management that you need to get out of the way first. But really, it all starts from Create WBS, having your work breakdown structure like this, for example. Remember, we already took a look at this on a previous day. Now let's say this right here is the work package level. So we've got 1.1, let's say 1.1.1, the work package level. This is where create WBS stops. Now I'm going to use blue to show you where define activity starts. Define activity starts when you take 1.1.1 and you then break it down further into activities. For example, let's say this is activity A1, this is activity A2, this is activity A3. These are not work breakdown structure components. Instead, they are tasks or activities that roll up under 1.1.1, which is part of the WBS. See? Part of the WBS 1.1.1, not in the WBS A1, A2, A3. Those are too low level to be in the WBS. However, on this lower level, individuals can track their own work. At this higher level, PM tracks work, program manager may be involved, management may get into these weeds, but typically management would stay at a higher level, such as the control account level that we talked about in the previous tutorial. Okay, let's take a look here at what exactly is happening one more time with define activities. So the define activities process is fed, first of all, the scope baseline, as you can see there. And again, this is from my book, the book titled PMP Exam IQ Test Workbook. And you can see here the interrelationships that are illustrated in this book. Not only is this book a great way of finding out relationships between processes, it's also a great way of testing you, because typically on the first page that you come across test 5, all of these or lots of these will be blank. Some processes would be blank and some ITTOs would be blank, and you would have to fill in the gaps. So take a look. Create WBS gives you the scope baseline, and see all the places the scope baseline goes as an input. Well, the scope baseline goes to the define activities process. This is really what is feeding define activities for you to begin to break down the WBS. Remember, the WBS is part of the scope baseline. In the scope baseline, we have the WBS dictionary, and the project scope statements. Take a look here one more time. I showed you this in the last tutorial. We can also see the schedule management plan being fed into define activities. And out of define activities, we can see one of those things I talked about, the activity list. The activity list is going to be a recurring input to several processes of time management. Your activity list will be used in sequencing activities and so on. All right, so be familiar with where your activity list is an input. This is also discussed in great detail in my course, my 2-hour course on project management data flows, taking a look at the PMBOK guide knowledge areas in a data flow diagram format. It's different from this. I suggest you go to praizion.com, Praizion.com, and take a look at that video series. It will really help your understanding of all of these data flows. Okay? So that's pretty much it. Don't forget, how do we do this? How do we break this down from here to here? The tool and technique is known as decomposition. Okay? We can also use a technique such as rolling wave planning to stagger when we decompose this component into these. If the work is happening far out in the future, through rolling wave planning, we could have, for example, a planning package, and I talked about this in a previous tutorial. We could have a planning package, and that planning package at a particular point in time, closer to when the work is meant to occur, then we can break open that planning package into work packages and subsequently activities. There's quite a few things happening here, but all of these are discussed in a lot of detail in our course, Remember, these are nuggets. This is not meant to replace our 35 contact hour course. So if you have not been for a 35 contact hour course and some of this stuff is new or some of it seems gray, visit Praizion, Praizion.com, sign up for the online course, go through the process, and then when you take a look at the 40 days videos, as we're going through them in a process group format vertically, it will make a lot of sense. All right, all the best in your studying. Don't forget, do the exercises I have below. I wish you all the best. Take care.